You know, I think we all know and feel that cinema in the most recent years here in America has just completely gone to poop. It's just one of those things that you just don't really look forward to watching any movie that comes out. Whether that's just because you can catch it on streaming sometime soon, or, if you go watch it, you just fear that it was just a big waste of time and waste of money for all the people that were involved in it. Especially with these mega blockbuster movies that they produce every year that turn out to be absolute garbage. I mean, if you just think about the Marvel movies, for instance, everybody loved the last phase. Phase 2, 3, 1 was great. 1, they were kind of getting their feet wet with 1, but, 2 and 3 were epic. And when they finally finish it off and capitalize all their, financial gains on Endgame and Infinity War, which are 2 of the greatest movies I had ever seen. True peak cinema. I didn't know if I was ever going to get the feeling I did watching those movies ever again. Like when you actually anticipated going to the movie theater, back when you were a kid, probably somewhere in the 90s, 2000s, or even earlier than that, obviously, because that used to be the thing to do, was actually go to the movies. Nowadays, you just don't go to the movies unless it's like $5 Tuesdays, and I don't even know if they offer that anymore, because everything is about capitalizing on money and making huge financial gains when really they're not even doing that anymore, which is sad. Now, I remember back in December when this movie, Godzilla Minus One, decided it was going to actually be here in America and it was in theaters. I was excited. I looked on my Fandango app and I was getting ready to punch and buy my ticket. But I knew I'd already started waiting way too long to go see this movie, because when I saw the trailer originally, I was thinking, man, something about this movie stands out. And I feel like for whatever reason, it's going to be good. There's something about the appeal of this movie, I guess mostly because, well, Godzilla was not the good guy, even though, yeah, obviously he's more of an anti-hero, because we all know Godzilla causes mass destruction. When really all I think about when I watch the Godzilla movies is, or at least the past ones, was that Godzilla was just a complete douchebag. Like, this dude didn't give a damn about no humans, and they always had the Japanese people running around, parading and caping up for Godzilla, like, oh yeah, Gojira, he was going to save us. No, he's going to save us from those monsters that were going to kill him. We don't give a crap about y'all. It's just like the Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z. They really don't care about anybody else that they're fighting around, or the fact that they're about to destroy the planet. Like, yeah, subconsciously Goku used to be like, yeah, we got to make sure we don't destroy the planet. But other than that, they didn't care about the mass destruction that took place. They'll be like, man, who cares how they die? We'll just wish them back with the Dragon Balls. And, that's kind of how Godzilla was looked at, except for the fact there were no Dragon Balls and he didn't care who died. Like, whether he stepped on them, crushed them, monstrous, 18 billion story buildings fell on top of people, whether they were set to fire, it didn't matter. He didn't care about any of that because he was just a douche. And yeah, it made for great cinema, or, something that was appealing to watch. Like, if you watch the old Godzilla movies, they weren't obviously the greatest to look at, because, if you just look at Godzilla, it just looked like somebody off of the Power Rangers set, where they were just some guy in a costume walking around, stomping around some, 2-foot tall wooden buildings that were created by man. It wasn't very good, but, people do the best they can with the budget they're given. Now, speaking of budgets, this movie, astonishingly, good Lord, I can't speak, was only $15 million in total budget. Now, if you look on Google, it says like $10 to $12 million, but either way, this is equivalent to the Blair Witch Project if you're thinking about movies in general, compared to how much modern movies, especially here in America and Hollywood, and how much they put into those movies. Think about it. Indiana Jones, the recent movie of Indiana Jones, was a $200 million film that they produced. And guess what? It didn't make anything. This movie was $15 million and it looked like it was made with a $500 million budget. And that's not, the only thing. There's a lot of feelings I get when I watch this movie. And I could not wait, because I had to wait all the way until it came out on Netflix, because I couldn't pirate the movie. I wasn't going to risk my computer and all the software that I had. I just didn't really want to lose it. My Norton antivirus is just okay. It's not the greatest material. So I didn't want to actually lose it. But my thing is, I watched this movie and it lived up to all my expectations. Having Godzilla not be the good guy was a great move. It was truly what you would always think out of a Godzilla film. A big monster that decided it was going to lay foot on land and start destroying everything. And people are deciding, hey, we need to end this bitch. Like, why not? Like, hey, I don't know how, because quite frankly, there aren't any other monsters that's going to pop up. Sorry, there might be some semi spoilers during this, but I would love to give an actual detailed review of this movie. If this gets enough views, I will consider doing that. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this movie in general, because I personally thought this was one of the greatest movies I have seen. And it's, I mean, definitely in recent memory, because there just hasn't been that many great movies that would move you. So like when you watch the film, so like when I watched The Dark Knight, it moved me. There's something about certain movies that you watch that just leave you with an everlasting feeling of goodness inside. Something that makes you think long after the credits started rolling. Movies that make you think, let me watch until the very end of it to see if there's anything after the credits. Not just like they did in the Marvel movies, but just in case they give me just a little bit more, just another little taste, another nibble of what I just witnessed for the last 2 hours. And it was one of those movies that, yes, it was 2 hours, but it didn't feel like it was too long. It wasn't like The Little Mermaid or any of these other ridiculous Disney remakes that they've had, or any of these other movies that just stretch on for long, ridiculous amounts of time for no reason. Because why does a movie need to be 2 hours when the substance of it was only about 35 minutes? This is a movie that actually kept you compelled, kept you interested the entire time. Which, yes, the running meme is that, yes, in all the old past Japanese films with Godzilla, all the people sucked balls. They were about as interesting as dry wallpaper. They were awful, and I mean ugly wallpaper at that. Like, there was nothing that was appealing about any of the characters. You would literally just be watching the humans until you saw Godzilla got on screen. You were just wondering, like, how long is it going to take before this dude comes over here and starts killing these folks? Because quite frankly, they were so bland, you would want them destroyed and killed off the set. The movies were so bad with the actors, it made you think that Japanese people simply could not act. That's how bad it was. It would make you think, like, how did these people ever decide they're going to create movies? I would hate to be a person who was looking for acting gigs over here, because quite frankly, everything looks like it's ass. Everything is awful. None of these movies are appealing. There's no interesting characters. They're all bland. The dialogue is cheesy, and none of it's any good. So when I watched this movie and I actually found myself interested in the main character, within the first 5 minutes of the movie, I realized this was going to be good. This was going to be a really, really good movie, because I never cared about any of the humans in the past. And I think everybody else who's put out a review on this movie has said the exact same thing. It just leaves you actually caring about what's going on. The characters actually have believable backstories. They have believable traumas. They have believable everything. What happens makes sense. It's not one of those movies where you're looking at it, it's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. It just doesn't really feel like it's believable. Whether their reactions are actually believable, the acting was really good. That's the thing, is the acting was incredible. And yes, I was reading it in subtitles, but you can just see, you know, good acting when you watch it. Flat out. It doesn't matter what language it is, if you have to watch it with subtitles or anything. If you see great performances, you know what it looks like, because you will feel it internally. And that's what you feel watching this movie. The main character, he was one of the best actors I've seen. I don't know if he can speak a lick of English. Man, I can't even speak English right now. But either way, I don't know if he can speak a lick of English, but either way, he's going to probably be the most premium and top-notch actor that lives over there. Pay him top dollar. I hope he made hella money off of this movie. I hope he was definitely the one that they invested in, though he wasn't the only one. The supporting characters, they were great too. The doctor was amazing. The other people that were on the boats were with him. They were really good. It's not his wife in the movie, which, yeah, if I give a detailed breakdown, I'll go into that further. Like, she was a great character as well. It was a spontaneous thing of randomness early in the movie because it was war. If you gotta think, I mean, there are circumstances that don't make a lot of sense if you're gonna have half your country disappear due to getting bombed or losing the war or whatever's taking place. I mean, if you go back home and, well, half of it's missing, yeah, there's gonna be, you know, some people that you run into that you probably weren't friends with in the first place. And so thus, yes, he ends up basically adopting this little girl and this other woman who ended up staying in his house, and neither one of them, they weren't even related. They weren't related with each other either. And that made for a compelling storyline as well. And then they have great twist in the movie, the dramaticism, the top notch. I mean, the cinematics in this movie, I can't explain to you how great this movie looks. Like, when you see Godzilla chasing after these guys on this wooden boat, you are literally freaking out internally if you're actually diving into this movie, because he looks like he's there. It looks like he's truly in the water. You see it. It doesn't look like BS. It's not like some crap that you saw off the Flash movie or some of these other movies that try to put up a whole bunch of CGI and a bunch of AI that's used into the movies. This was real. This is legitimate. Now, the messed up part is maybe they did use AI in this movie. That's why the budget was so cheap. And maybe that's what they used for half the people sitting around, but I don't think so. If you can look around on the set, you can tell that they didn't have to invest all their money and dollars into it. Basically, they just needed some great CGI for Godzilla and some of the scenes. And he's not used very often in this movie, which makes for a better impact. Sort of like in the first Jurassic Park, you don't see the T-Rex all the time in that movie. There are long, large stretches where it's just the humans. Yeah, there's dinosaurs throughout the movie, but the fact that you actually have to wait a good distance into the movie to see the T-Rex for the first time is huge. And he's not throughout the whole movie, and he's not oversaturated throughout the film. Just sort of like you do in the, modern day Jurassic World movies. Yeah, you are littered with dinosaurs in those movies. And they got a little bit better, I guess. I mean, I kind of like Jurassic World a little bit, and I'm not as big of a hater on that series as other people, but either way, it is a little bit oversaturation with the dinosaurs. You kind of lose the appeal, and it loses the fear factor that it had in the first movie. And sort of like with this movie here, Godzilla is flat out scary. When he pops up, havoc is wreaked. I mean, it is awful. I mean, bad things happen to folks and they die in devastating ways. When he shoots his monster laser, it isn't just like the little can thing that you see in the Godzilla versus Kong movies. It's way better than that. The impact of it is truly nuclear. It is out of this world amazing to watch and witness. The after effects, the blow away, the ricochet, the fact that you got radiation actually that's poisoning all the fish in the sea and the people aren't able to live in the area anymore. It's truly like that. It actually gives you all the little small innuendos. And there's always a lot of other subtext in the movie as well. You got people who are willing to forgive others in times of war and times of despair where guess what? That they might want to hold petty grudges for the fact that you might think somebody got somebody killed that you cared about. And they made believable stories. I could go on and on and on and on about this movie, but it just truly was a great film. And it was something that, yes, when people are saying, oh, this is the death to Hollywood, I understand what they're talking about, because this movie truly makes you feel special watching it. You feel privileged to have witnessed it. I knew there was a reason why I wanted to buy my ticket, and I knew there was a reason why I was upset when I finally clicked to buy. It said that movie was no longer in theaters. I was upset. I was genuinely like, damn, there's no telling. And there was something wrong with me because I kept Googling like each month. And then it started getting weekly where I was looking for Godzilla Minus One. When is it coming out on streaming? When are you going to find a way to pirate this movie? When is there going to be a way for me to have access to watch this film? Now, I've watched enough anime to where I don't care about subtitles. So watching this movie with subtitles is not a big deal. I don't care. I don't want no English dub of this movie. Boy, that would be terrible probably, unless they put me on the project, and I would gladly voice one of those characters. Might not match anything whatsoever, but I would gladly do it for a nice check. But either way, I just want to go ahead and talk about this movie a little bit and just say exactly how it made me feel. It made me feel a special type of way, and I really encourage you to watch it. It's a great movie. Whether you like monster movies or not, the human aspect of this movie is truly great. It really is. And it leaves you with a good feeling in the end. It really does. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but you feel good after it ends. When it hits Finn, the end, credits roll, you feel good about the movie. The music in it is good. Everything about it is really spectacular. I mean, kudos to those who made this film. Now, obviously you can look it up on Google, but I'm not looking at anything right now to pronounce any of those names. So I'm just going to give them random and shout out credit from here. But either way, like, share, and subscribe if you like this. And if you want me to talk about any other movies that I've watched in the past that I enjoy or even hate, it'd probably be even better if I hate the movie. But either way, I really enjoyed this. If you want to, have me do any more of these, please leave it in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day. Go see this movie. Peace.